Hi, and good evening, everyone. So excited to be on with y'all tonight. We have a great topic and a phenomenal guest with us this evening. We're going to be talking about building back better women in the workplace and what the Biden agenda means for working women. I want to start by introducing ourselves. I am Bernice. I am the regional director with For Future Florida in West Central Florida. So that is Tampa and St. Petersburg area. So shout out to any folks that are watching from home. And I would like to introduce Lori, who is from Broward for Progress. Lori, thank you so much for being on tonight. How are you feeling tonight?
I feel good. Happy to be amongst good progressives tonight. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I will toss it to my colleague Juan to introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Juan Moore. I'm the regional director of South Florida. So that's Miami-Dade. I almost said Miami Beach. Miami-Dade, Broward County, and Palm Beach. I'm the director of Miami Beach as well. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
Awesome. And David, you want to jump in and say hi to folks?
Hi. Yeah, really excited to be here. I'm David, in the Central Florida area, actually just outside of Orlando. So had some really exciting events going on today. So really excited to close out the day here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, folks. And skipping ahead of myself here. So let's talk a little bit about the impact of the pandemic on women. So we know that 400,000 more women than men have left the workplace force, and 1 in 4 women are actually considering leaving the workplace because of the pandemic. So just curious to hear from you, Lori, like what comes up for you when you hear these numbers?
It's triggering. It's really triggering. I had a 30-year business. I was an entrepreneur. My husband and I had a small business here in Florida. And the first thing you should know is small businesses, it's really hard. It's not easy. 90% of small businesses close within the first 5 years, and very few make it beyond 10 years. So the fact that we made it to 30 years, I was very proud of that, being a female in primarily a male-dominated industry. But the pandemic hit, and I, like every other small business in the state of Florida, suffered. And, I know friends that, they had to quit their jobs because they had to be caregivers at home. I know women that, unfortunately, they also struggled with what was happening in the pandemic. And I know some of them that have not gone back to their original career. I am making a transition because my business now, I love organizing, and I'm hoping to get a job professionally doing what I love. So for me, it's been a little bit of a blessing because I've transitioned to this, but I can only live on my good looks for so long, right? I've got to actually get a job. But it is heartbreaking to see that much talent out there that is missing from our workplace. And especially in the times that we're in, this just gives me great trouble, especially here in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, it's being like a woman in the workforce. It's kind of shocking because I guess I didn't realize this was happening while it was happening. We've also been so kind of isolated during the pandemic as well. Just seeing the disproportionate impact on women is kind of shocking to look at it from this end.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard since we're all at home, right? But the pandemic really did a number. And I think a lot of women, unfortunately, like my friends, were forced at home. In fact, that's still going on right now with the pandemic happening at the high levels that it is in Florida. I'm connecting with folks all across the state. A lot of women are pulling their kids out of school because they're worried about the high COVID, the lack of masking, safety protocols in place. So there is more of a disruption to our workplace. It's really frightening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things that I'm like excited to talk about tonight is how the Biden agenda can really help women. And I think it's something that's not really being discussed at all. So I'm excited to talk about these policies that we're going to talk about tonight. So I know President Biden is working on leveling the playing field for all of us, especially working families. And this agenda, the Build Back Better agenda, it improves the lives of women and working families through historic investments. So investments in care work, just thinking about care field, this is a field that's disproportionately made up of women of color. So when you think about like your healthcare workers or your home like health aides and your nurses aides and folks like that, those are disproportionately women of color. So Biden's plan to actually invest money into this field so folks can have a living wage while doing care work, because it's a really unfortunately underpaid part of our society. The Build Back Better agenda is wanting to lift this group of women up. And so that's really, really exciting to see policy that actually is going to change lives.
I'm sorry, I have to say something. Just listening to this, it really is profound when you think about it. I mean, when I hear those words, infrastructure, I mean, we've known if you're a working mom or you're a working family, the struggle is real. And to actually put care in the same wording as infrastructure, because the reality is care is needed. We need those folks taking care of the people at home so we can go out and do the work, whether it's your senior or your small child. So to see this is really, my gut, just like my heart is happy, because this is really something that can lift all of us up. And what you said about disproportionately women and women of color, how do we, again, I go back to this, how can we call ourselves a great nation when we leave so many down? How can we say we're the most amazing country in the world when we have so much poverty and people struggling? I want us to be the promise that we are. And so this is a beautiful thing to see that word infrastructure along with care, because honestly, I don't know why we didn't have this years ago, quite frankly.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're on mute.
Went back into mute there. Absolutely. And I just wanted to tap into some of those numbers there. I'm reading from the White House, government.blog. Women represent half of all workers, yet they are over 60% of our essential workers. So women of color are disproportionately represented in frontline jobs and comprise more than half of the workers in critical service. And I know that is a snapshot of the nation, but if you come down to Miami-Dade, that's definitely a snapshot here. So women are essential workers. There are healthcare workers. They're the caregivers of our children, and so they need allies, not necessarily protection. I like how Bernice put it. We need allies, and it very much seems like Biden's bipartisan infrastructure plan is definitely an ally to women and women of color, women all around, period.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to move us to our next part of the policy, which is making childcare more affordable. So the child tax credit expansion helps more working families and makes childcare more affordable. So that will help the more than 2 million women who left their jobs take care of their kids to get back to work. Just curious if, I don't know, Juan, if you want to share a little bit more about the child tax credit for folks. Oh, you're on mute, Juan.
I had to stop that. I have to stop that. Yes, the child tax credit is coming out, I believe, once a month, and it's been able to help working families, and especially women with children, be able to supplement for the losses that they have had during COVID. It's not a fix all, but it has definitely helped families. I myself, me and my wife, we're one of those people who have held steady jobs. We've built a small business, but yet when COVID hit, Stephanie had to step back. And even now, with Delta rising, my younger kids won't start school till next week as we watch COVID. So she is all taking that challenge into leaving what she does and loves the most, and to watch our kid. That child tax credit has definitely came into play in our lives. And when I go out into the neighborhood as well, there's young women and families who are no longer, they're on eviction notice. Their bills are behind. And so this is an instrument that was created by the Biden administration to give some ease to the struggles that they're going through, that we're all going through.
Awesome. Thank you. And so the next way that, next couple ways they make childcare affordable is lack of access to childcare. So the Build Back Better agenda is going to invest in improving childcare facilities and building new childcare facilities in high need areas. And so if folks don't have access to childcare, it makes it hard for them to work. So by putting in more facilities, people will be able to have their kids taken care of and safe. So they'll be able to go to work.
I just want to make a comment on the child tax credit and this component of it. I mean, let's be real. Corporations are getting tax breaks left, right, and center, right? All up and down this country. I mean, we hear about Amazon not paying taxes and other companies, large corporations, not paying their fair share. So this is no different than a tax break, right? For a corporation to be able to expand their operations, we're looking at investing in our workers, like our families. Like, we can add to our economy so much if we have adequate childcare and these opportunities. I mean, it's just, to me, a lot of times people go, they don't put it together. I'm like, well, you're going to give all this money to these corporations. Why don't you invest in families who are going to be able to know that their child is safe and they can go get a job and they can contribute to the economy? That's, to me, more equitable and more fair on our economy than just continuing to give tax breaks to wealthy corporations or individuals. So this is a beautiful component because it actually is building out facilities. So instead of building out for large corporations, and we do it here in Florida, we give those tax breaks for them to build, stadiums and such. Well, guess what? Instead of building stadiums, let's build in our community child care centers and places to take care of our families so we can take care of our lives and, be working folks. It seems like the basic things shouldn't be this hard to fight for. So this is all good. I'm sorry. Got off on a tangent there.
No, I'm 100% with you there. I think we all are. Yeah, these are things that it's almost like, why didn't we think of these things before? So improving maternal health. Now, this one is one of my favorites. So investments, there's going to be investments into improving maternal health and maternal mortality. And this is going to disproportionately impact Black women because Black women are actually more likely to die or get sick during childbirth. So if we think about how we can lift up our racial justice, it's definitely investing in maternal health, which is a huge, huge issue. So I'm really, really excited to see this investment.
I'm just going to add one thing that I think I'm actually going to drop it into the chat. Our organization has been pushing to petition Governor DeSantis and the members of the Florida State House and Senate to declare racism a public health crisis. And this is one of those components. If we don't identify these issues, how in the world are we possibly going to fix this? There is no reason just because of your skin color, you should have a higher likelihood that your child in childbirth would not survive. That's just not right. We have to do better than that. Again, if we're going to call ourselves one of the best nations in the world, how in the world can we have this kind of disparity? It's just shameful. So this is a beautiful thing, and I'd like to see it even go further. That's why I dropped that in there, because I think once we start really identifying and working on these policies, we can make effective change and improve lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think now that we know about the issue, it's like we have to address it. Definitely. So super excited about this. Breaking barriers. So Biden's agenda will expand STEM opportunities. So one thing I found interesting is that a study found that innovation in the United States could actually quadruple if women, people of color, and children from low-income families invented at the same rate as other groups who are not held back by discrimination and structural barriers. So this is like another example of like literally racism is holding us back from expanding like scientifically and growing through technology. And so Biden's agenda is going to address that in a couple ways. It's going to help small businesses by investing billions to help women and minority-owned small businesses access capital and other federal research and development programs. And it will also create a federal development program that will focus on hiring women of color.
This makes me giddy as a small business owner. That is really, you're leveling the playing ground, right? Because it's not fair. And I got to be honest with you, my business, everybody was excited. There were all these loans out there. And, I even met with Marco Rubio's staff, and he's like, well, you should take advantage of the COVID's whatever. And I looked it up, and most of those loans went to corporations that were like much larger, would have 75 people or more, but small businesses, 10 people or less, got very few of the CARES Act. And when I finally did get the notice, it was 6 months into the pandemic. Well, for a small business, you live month to month, right? So there was just no way that our business was going to survive at the 6 month mark. I had to, do other things to kind of help supplement the bill, pick up gigs here and there. But seeing stuff like this makes my heart excited, because especially the lack of or the investment in creativity, because I do believe there is a huge resource that we are missing out on as a nation. The fact that we are America is because we are creative and we are resourceful. And so when we invest in small businesses, that is just going to do incredible things for our communities and our economy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think the investments in small businesses and just the investment in STEM is really exciting. So before we leave you off, we of course have a way that you can help working families. Republicans are not supporting the Build Back Better agenda. Not a surprise, right? And so we want to hold our senators accountable for supporting this agenda. And so we'd like y'all to sign a petition. And we'd like to tell them, hey, we need the Build Back Better agenda, not just because of what it's going to do for women, but what it's going to do. Well, frankly, I think we do need it just because of what it's going to do for women, because it's going to do some great things for women. But we also need it because what it's going to do is it's going to impact families. And when we impact families, we impact communities in an incredible way. So we definitely need our senators to support this. We will be dropping that link in the chat for y'all.
Yeah, I think looking at both of them, Senator Rubio and Senator Scott, purport to be family, for families. So if you really champion families in Florida, this is a no-brainer. But if they're not going to listen, I'm also going to drop in the chat. We have a pink slip campaign. You can send Rubio a pink slip and remind him of his hypocrisy, because so many things he says he stands for, but he hasn't really shown up for the people of Florida. Just time and time again. So definitely email them and keep contacting them. And, a lot of times people ask me, why will I do this if it's not going to make a difference? And I always come back with, you have to, that's what they want. They want us to give up. They want us to stop, but we have to believe that change is possible. I believe it. I've seen change happen in many ways around Florida the past few years. But the reality is my job is to stand up and protect my family and fight for my community. And that means holding both of my senators accountable on issues that will help my community. Now, I hope when I make those calls and fill out those letters that it'll move my senators, but that isn't my job. My job is to stand up for my family. It is my duty to protect my family. It is my duty to protect my community. And so if I mean that, if I walk, that means that I do those things regardless of what my senators will do. Now, I hope millions of us come together and push them enough that they finally wake up and say, I'll take care of Florida families. I'll take care of small businesses. I'll take care of Florida's women. But if they don't, well, we have a mechanism in this country. It's called elections. And we can remove them with people that do hold our values.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to dig in a little bit more on these two characters here. We're doing patch throughs. We've been doing it all week to DeSantis and Rubio. And Mr. Scott, you're on the way. Having the constituents and voters contact their voicemail and urge them to do better. Or as I teach my volunteers, if they're not going to do better, to leave. You're absolutely right. I'm Lori. I'm at the absolute point now where I'm asking everybody on this broadcast that to look at the bullet points and don't ask Senator Rubio or Senator Scott. We need to tell them. And if they're not going to do it, then they need to leave. They do have a very good history of not voting on. If there was up to them, there would be no American Jobs Plan, be no benefits that you're seeing with these child tax credits. Both of these men have families here, beautiful families, by the way. But they neglect to see their families' values within our family values. And that's very, very, very scary when you have power at that magnitude. So I encourage everybody to join our phone banks that we're going to be having weekly to talk to them. You might not be able to talk to them personally, but you can leave a voice message and your voice will be heard. Absolutely. Look at where we're at. They didn't sign on for those two things and we still got it because we're still out here fighting for the voices and we're still going to continue to do so. And we welcome you to do that with us for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely stay engaged with us. We will be sharing and posting on social media how to stay connected with our phone banks. So we appreciate y'all so much. Lori, how can folks stay connected with Broward for Progress?
Yeah, so if anybody wants to check us out, we are a lean, mean fighting machine in Broward County, grassroots group. We advocate for many progressive issues, and we help to mobilize voters. So you can check us out at browardforprogress.org. That's our website. And then we're also on Facebook and on Twitter. So connect with us and get plugged in and help us fight the fight along with For Our Future. We're just doing what we can in the state of Florida. Actually, we need millions of us, right? A lot of us showing up, but we're I think the one thing I will say, which is why I love your organization, because you align well with what we do, is we're empowering people. Let's be clear about this. This is about people power, right? Mm-hmm. We aren't beholden to any lawmakers or any party or whatever. We're trying to empower people to take their power back in the state of Florida. For too long in this state, certain parties have taken control and tried to manipulate what's in our pocket, tried to manipulate, clean air, beaches, education, healthcare. So our organization, like yours, is trying to give people back their power. And if I'm really happy that I've had an opportunity to connect with you folks. Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent, but folks are always welcome to check us out at browardforprogress.org.
Oh, thank you, Lori. We're grateful to have connected with you. Thank you so much for being on. You're an amazing guest. We're super, super lucky to have you. So just appreciate you taking the time tonight to be on with us. Thank you.
For sure. That's my friend right there. That's my neighbor. So now, from another mister. I wanted to say, please, to everybody watching us and of the For Our Future family, if you're interested for volunteering with For Our Future, you can find us at forourfuture.org. I'm sorry, my poodle is crying over my Burger King here. forourfuturefund.org. Each one of us have our own separate pages. You can find Bernice, I think, in West Central Florida, organizing the victory. David Bonilla in East Central Florida, organizing the victory. Me in South Florida, organizing the victory. I really want to say real quick, the other day in the channel, before I go there, let me say first and foremost, I am honored to be on the stage with the women that I am now. And on the stage and in the background, I want to give a shout out to Jen, our state director, one of the women in my life, my wife for sure, Lior in the background, Bernice and Lori. It's always an honor to be an ally of yours. And I hope you continue to do what you do and let me be an ally of yours. Somebody asked me, what is a perfect Florida in your mind? And I very quickly answered, no more Rick, no more Rubio, no more Ron, no more Rona. With all this is said and done, when we get off of here, I just want you guys to first and foremost, go hug your family and know what we're doing has a purpose and be safe out there. And always, always from now on, when you reach out with your eyes closed and your heart open. And we will see you very, 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 very soon again. And I thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.